very beginning when I do 3, 2, 1, we're gonna act like we're talking to one another, but we're not really talking to one another because the intro music is playing. So, all right, 3. And welcome to another episode of Coleman On Purpose. Thank you for joining me. This is David J. Coleman. I am so excited that you came to visit me for another episode. I do have a special guest here with me today that is here. Another one of my best friends. It is my best friend, like from high school. Grew up, well, not high school, junior high, as he would say. We grew up together. Very young, and then carried throughout, and our friendship has stood the test of time, and it's a blessing to have him here today. And we're doing another Revisited today, and today it's kind of like a mixture because I have my best friend here with me, and he is there was an episode I did called Get You a Best Friend. When I talk about a friend in there, this is the one. This is Kevin, and Kevin has been here, like I said, for a very long time, and so when I talk about that, that is how the mixture of Get Your Best Friend and my episode of Industry Baby. So we're going to be revisiting the episode of Industry Baby. Kevin, how you feeling today?
Hey, I'm good. I just need to make a correction because we get into this argument all the time. I have known David J. Coleman since the 4th grade. He refuses to accept this. Yeah. I have known him since the 4th grade, and the lies he's been telling junior high, no, 4th grade, elementary band.
So he insists that I've known him since the 4th grade. I say I may have known him since junior high, maybe like 6th grade. I might give you 6th grade, maybe, but or something like that.
No, because the infamous bassoon. What instrument is this?
That's true. I may have known. I can vaguely remember that story. So yes, I think I did ask him what kind of instrument he played, and that's how we became friends from there on out because he played a big old bassoon. So yeah, we we played in band together, and we've known each other for quite a long time. So it's amazing to have him here, and he doesn't usually do stuff like this. So for him to be on here, I'm very excited because he usually wouldn't get on anything like this. He's like one of the ones that'll like sit back in the cut and just watch and encourage you from afar. But I'm happy that I could actually get him on here to like break some things down. Now, I will warn you before we start getting into any of these topics. If I have to put a little explicit thing on here, I'll put it up there on the thing because you know Kev is unfiltered, so we may get some different versions than what you're used to hearing on here.
Very.
But that's what I wanted to bring on the podcast. I wanted there to be different things, different points of view, different types of people on here. So I'm really excited. So we're gonna get right into it. So let me first start it out with saying. Kevin and I, I can remember back in the day when we grew up, basically having similar interests. Like I know Kevin liked to write, and Kevin wrote a lot back when I was younger. So we had a group back in the day, and I think I might have talked about this on this podcast or before. It was a company I called Half and Half, and that was like my company's name. And I was like, we were publishing books, magazine, we were really acting like we had a whole full-fledged thing. So I'm gonna let him just discuss a little bit more, because we had very similar things, and throughout time I have old tapes and everything. So tell him a little bit more about how we grew up and what types of stuff we like to get into back then.
So basically, I don't know. Well, no, I do know. Like you said, I do and still write. I found myself finding myself drawn to books and losing myself in them, and then attempting to replicate in my own words the same scenarios or dramas, if you will, and then coming across, and then we actually, I guess, became friends in the 7th grade. Mm-hmm. It was just like, oh, okay, so this dude, we have similar interests, and there were half and half, and legit, this cat had me writing story ideas, and if I didn't meet a certain quota by the day, he wouldn't talk to me for about 2 or 3 days.
Lord, that was the trying to be boss back then, and it was just it was an interesting time though, because we had quite a few people that that were with that. And Kevin used to like have these recordings. Like we would have radio shows and everything like that. So the interest has always been there. It's always been like that. So I've always had this infatuation with the industry. Now, as we grew, has your love for the industry changed at all? Have you thought differently about trying to be involved with like books, like publishing? I involve book writing as industry too. That's industry also.
So what I realized very, very quickly is it's not, I don't believe it's meant for me to be a celebrity.
Why do you say that?
Because my mouth is foul and I'm petty as hell. And so what you're not finna do is stalk me, know when my birth date is, where I grew up, my mother's name, the last 4 digits of my social security.
Right.
No, we're not doing none of that.
Right.
What I did realize is like being a producer, being the publisher or the editor, the behind the scenes guy, I'm cool with that because I can fade into the background and I can know that I had a contributing part to this project. I might have been the front runner. I might not even been the star, but my contribution is what allowed this project to go forward.
Right. And I think there's even levels to it because when you think about it, there's like levels to, you know, and Kev hates when I use this term, deep industry. When you have things like the deep industry, like you have a choice because even as a producer or somebody that's there, you can still be very involved in the end, like deeply involved and not be in the background at all.
Exactly.
So there's people like, let's say Jordan Peele, like different people, like he acted a little bit, but you still see his name out front. So I think that there's you get a choice of kind of what you want to do in those types of environments.
But do you really get a choice though? Because we have some people that walk into the industry and are given the red carpet is rolled out to them. We have others that have legitimate A-list talent and they're paid dust.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Like we can definitely say that because me and him definitely sit down and talk about a lot of this because he knows I'm very pop culture involved. I like to keep up with what's going on with pop culture, but we get to talk about different things like from music and films and different things like that. But when we begin to talk about those things, we start to see these trends and different things that are popping up to where somebody will have a huge come up all of a sudden and it'll be from something really dumb that really involves no talent. It was just a whim. Like you became big off of a whim, and then you're getting brand deal, record deal, like you're getting all of this and you're coming up off of the heels of so many other, you know, people that have worked very hard in this craft.
So I think a part of that is media itself is changing. Social media has literally took the rest of media and flipped it on top of its head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so individuals who would not normally have a voice, who would not normally have a platform, all of a sudden at the click of a mouse now have the audience of whoever is willing to listen or to consume what it is that they're putting out there.
Correct.
And so let's use musicians or singers. Let's use vocalists as an example. So prior to the advent of social media, singer, you know what I'm saying, had two avenues. They sang in church or they had some type of form of training. They then would go on and become background vocalists for a major record company.
Right.
There was this amount of time that was used to nurture both the individual and their talent so that when it was time to say, hey, now presenting Brandy Norwood, now presenting Beyonce Knowles, they were ready. Versus, and I love them to death. Prime example, Chloe and Halle. Love them to death. It was just like out of nowhere off of social media or even Justin Bieber. Here we are. And it was just like,
did you have time to really hone in that craft and have a chance to learn it? I'm really glad that Chloe and Halle are under the tutelage of Beyonce because she can help them in those areas. But I still feel like in certain aspects, it came very fast. You know, it came fast. And I know they've been doing it for a long time since they were children. But I still think there's so many different aspects that you have to learn and you have to nurture. But I do think that Chloe and Halle did have some time because I've seen some old videos of them doing some things with like opera and different things like that back in the day where they probably weren't churched, but they had the experience of that. So I can't say that they haven't been totally nurtured, but I still feel like there's a process and people they're coming and growing so quickly. I can go over to rappers too. You know, we have a lot of rappers that are presented and put before us right now that they've had a lick of a couple mixtapes and now they're huge, huger than ever. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a quick or having a great come up, but there are certain things that I feel like you have to get used to. Like I watch the careers of different rappers having these establishments, and they're going out on tour. They're touring with higher up rappers and going out and doing their thing, and not necessarily having to necessarily just be just being thrown out here. That's why some of you haven't seen some of these rappers having full concerts. You haven't even seen them do anything because they don't know.
And I'm glad you bring up hip hop.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a lot of people have done this, as maybe Stans have. If you look at some of the ages of some of these individuals, Jay-Z, Nas, 2 Chainz, the average age of these rappers is well over 40.
Right.
Which means they spent the first
20 years,
20, maybe the first half of their life just trying to get heard.
Yeah.
But in the midst of trying to get heard, like you said, they've dropped mixtapes. They've done underground SoundCloud or underground SoundCloud followings or whatnot. So, and now the average age of new hip hop artists coming out is a lot lower.
Yeah,
like well under 30.
That's how it is presented now, and it's like, where do you have the time to really build yourself and do different things? But like you were just saying earlier, a lot of people that have studied or have that talent or have that drive and want to continue things, because like I could have very well been like, you know what, I don't really want to even do anything else. Like I just want to go get a 9-to-5 or just be, I don't want to have a creative outlet. Forget it. Right. But there's something inside of you. There's a passion. There's a burning that continues to make you want to continue on that path, continue to strive towards things, even though it gets discouraging sometimes, because you see so many people out here that are having these quick come ups. It's not like I want to have a come up, but it's more like I do have something to impart to the world. I do have something that I want to say. I do have something that I want to share. I have things that I would like to share. And so those are the things that really get me. And that's why I've always had, like I said, since we were younger, though we've had those drives and those things. We played in the band. Like me and Kevin were in the band, so we were always around music. Like music has been something that we've never taken for granted. So we start going on a tangent about music. Usually we know what we're talking about because it's like we have listened to it. We were always around it. Like we'd be on the bus jamming to different CDs and music all the time. So when you come to think of it, when I think about it in a way, band is almost it almost prepares you to really maybe be part of an industry or do something, because
that's another form of preparation.
Yep.
Who's a good example of this? Pharrell. Pharrell was in it. Pharrell was in band in Virginia, and you can actually hear it in the tracks that he's created, the beats he's created. I believe Timbaland was heavily involved with some form of either jazz band or concert band or whatnot. But you can hear it in how different yet distinct his sound has.
Right. It's the truth. It's the truth. And when I think about just not only music, and I start to expand onto other forms of the industry that we do talk about often too, we talk about films and the unoriginality of what we have right now in films. Like that's a whole nother thing. Like that's what I'm talking about. You have all of these genius people that are out here with all these wonderful and great ideas.
David, let me say this. If y'all remake one more motherfucking film from my childhood, I'ma scream. We did not ask for a Set It Off remake, yet Issa Rae has been in talks of wanting to do it. We do not need any more Ghostbusters.
No.
I don't want to see another Transformer remake. Like, and the sad part is when you survey the various film festivals, there is originality out there.
Yeah,
it's being reached over for a guaranteed payday for something that they think the younger generation will connect with.
That's the truth.
And some of the remakes have been good.
Yeah.
Most to me have been bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're not diversifying. They're not actually going out to get those people. They're sticking with the same people. And some of the same people that I'm not going to say, like, they might have had a quick come up in something that they presented, and they feel like that formula is going to be the best way to do it. I don't know. Like I said, I was just telling, I was recording another episode, and I was just talking to my friend Chris about that, and I was saying, like I'm gonna be doing a future episode. I don't know where this episode is going to land, but I have an episode that's gonna be called favor versus formula. Like, you can definitely have a formula that you use in the industry that you can continue trying to repeat. But if you don't have that favor on top of it, or you don't have something that is actually tangible that people actually like because it's original, or that it really comes from genuine things. It's not just trying to reach out and find another thing that might have hit. They're always trying to find something that hit. That's the same thing they're doing in music. So they're trying to find a film that maybe hit and got good ratings. Some things need to be left alone.
Exactly.
You have certain movies that come out that do very well, and then y'all try to make a part 2, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's only worked a few times.
It's like, why? So, prime example. So I'm gonna let's go all the way back to the mid 1980s. So mid 1980s, and forgive me because I forget the gentleman's name. A manager just finds a group of 5 guys who would later be known as New Edition. They blow up, and for whatever reason, they part ways. What a lot of people don't know is this same manager went back to Boston, because that's where New Edition is from. He found another 5 guys, except they were white.
Oh my goodness.
That group is known as New Kids on the Block.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
group popped hotter?
Yeah.
New Kids did. New Kids outsold New Edition almost 2-1 at their height. Are they popular now? Who has the more staying power? New Edition.
Let's not even get into that, because that touches on a whole nother thing about culture and how things have been very stripped from our ideas.
Exactly. But they figure, oh, well, if I can do it with this group of people, I can do the same thing. No, it doesn't have this. No,
it wouldn't have the same. It didn't still have the same effect. You know, it's different. So it wasn't gonna. What did you think it was gonna reach the R&B? You thought it was gonna reach, like, they thought New Kids on the Block was gonna reach the R&B market?
They were this close to crossing over to R&B, but they're pretty much considered pop.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they they were pop.
Yeah, that's
and it was their staying power. It was like at their height. I think it only lasted maybe 10 years, and then they slowly started to fade.
To decline. Yeah. Because you're again looking at someone else's basically formula, trying to produce the same thing, but you don't have the favor upon you. You don't have the extra it was like anointing or oil. You don't have the extra oil. You have the extra oil on you to get you to those points. So it really confuses me, though, because in this industry, like, I've always looked at art as something that continues to be evolving. Like, art should always grow. Art should always be around. Like, I don't know why people think that we're out of ideas for ways to be artistic.
I think I believe industry now thinks in terms of cash dollars. What's the fastest way to get the biggest return on investment?
Right. And I think that's
it reflects on how quickly they push artists out.
Yeah, that's sunk over into a lot of different things. I think even with Instagram presence, like having social, like being an influencer and different things like that.
Exactly.
It's now very money driven. How can we make money off of this? What can we do in order to push ahead? Ahead this person that has this little bit of talent that still hasn't been developed. We have many examples of that. People that come out and our Instagram, like, they have no kind of training at all, but they hit it big with a nice video. They got a lot of views. Then they continue to try to make content, but they haven't been molded and made into the stars that they can be. I've seen a few come through the cracks or slip through the cracks, but it's not often.
Well, and then with that also, and I've had this discussion with you too, I wish the United States I call it the UK method, the United Kingdom, the British method. So in America, to me, it appears if you have the look, we can give you the voice. We can give you the talent. We can make it appear as if you have all the talent in the world, until you get on a live stage with a microphone in front of you. And this may be why certain artists haven't done a tour yet. I'm gonna leave that alone because I don't want y'all to think I'm hating.
Right? No,
versus in the UK. Oh, we hating. Okay. Right. Versus in the UK, if you cannot sing, if you cannot rap, if you cannot grasp them with your talent, they don't care what this looks like.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, who's a good example of this? Not Susan. I don't want to say Susan Boyle.
Susan.
I don't want to say Susan Boyle. What's my girl rolling in the deep?
Adele.
Mm-hmm. I've told David this before. Had Adele been an American, we would not know what Rolling in the Deep was.
True.
As good as she sounds, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was only possible in the UK, I think.
I've noticed that a lot, even with the UK, even in acting, when you get UK actors and stuff like that, there's a different method. There's a different training that they have for singing, for acting, all of that stuff. That's what we have yet to be developed. We were watching something when you were here last time with me. There was a guy, I forgot what his page was, but he was the archive, the New York archive, but he was basically talking about the way that people, developed back in the day. In America, we used to have funds set aside to let people go and learn the arts. What the heck are we doing? Like,
specifically for the arts.
Where has that gone? It got cut out of the mix. And like, what are we doing? Because that's why we have all this unoriginality, because everybody thinks, oh, we just need to go to work. Like, people need art. And I always am going to be an advocate for that, because people always need an outlet. There is always something that somebody wants to go watch TV, listen to music, go see a play, go to the opera, go see a ballet. Like, there's always going to be, even as somebody that's sitting there painting in front of you, like, somebody's always going to want that.
Exactly. And I also think that some people think that raw talent is enough. And it's not. No. Behind art. So I'm a musician. Mm-hmm. David is a musician. Yep. Behind music and raw talent is theory. Mm-hmm. This applies to acting. This even applies to the fine arts, such as painting. Yeah. There's a certain way or a certain structure that stuff is done. I have this discussion with David all the time. There are some artists, I'm almost willing to bet, if I was to sit down and ask someone, what key is your song in? And they would probably, and I'm willing to bet there's a few of them that'll look at me like, huh?
Okay.
And I need you to know what key you're singing in. And the reason why I know it doesn't sound right is because I know you're off key. Because you're about a half step higher than you should be, or 3 steps lower than you should be.
They flopping these people into the studio and auto tuning them up, and
that's a cop out.
Yeah,
that's a cop. I agree with Jay-Z when he said "fuck auto-tune."
Yeah,
fuck auto-tune.
Right.
And for what was the other one?
Auto-tune.
All of
the stuff that's going.
Stop.
Yeah.
No,
I agree. I think there was an art form to the original auto-tune that T-Pain,
I'm going to take it back further. Before T-Pain, there was Roger Troutman.
Yes, Dayton's
that was called called The Voice. That was literally called The Voice Machine.
Come on, Dayton.
So, Dayton, Ohio State. DYT, stand up, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Done right, it sounds fine. It's the reliance of it that
in order to get yourself in tune and do everything else that you can do. So those are the things that I think about when I keep continuing to wonder if I want to be, taking it a step further into the industry. I just did my thing with Chris, who is doing, comedy in Dayton. And like I said, it's a different road that you're traveling down when you decide to start doing that and really try to make it your own, So I really, right now, I'm just learning, I guess I'm in the place where I'm just kind of learning myself and trying to learn what I can do. I always encourage Kev to please continue writing, because I said it's just so important that you don't ever lose that passion or that gift or whatever was there, because it's still there. We just don't, we have so many other things that occupy our minds that it gets us away from what you can contribute, because I believe your books or whatever you were going to write can contribute to what the world wants to see, or the originality that we still need in the world today. So I always try to let him know, like, please keep writing, keep doing what you're doing. That's why I don't ever let up off anything I do, because maybe somebody will see that example of me doing that and continue doing what they're, doing and want to get out here and grind and do what they do. So I definitely wanted to just get Kev on here to talk about some things. It's always good to have him here. And I think one of the main things that I, admire about, Kev is, even with our friendship and all the different transitions and everything that we've been through, he's been able to consistently, be a friend in times of everything, you know what I'm saying? And even when we weren't, really talking much, we were able to just come back to this place and even be transparent in a lot of things. That's what a best friend does. That's what you're supposed to do with someone you are close to. So that's important to have, even in the industry, to have those people that'll root you and ground you, or that are gonna keep it real with you when you just totally are running off of a tangent. You need that accountability there. So I always say he is so talented. Like, and I want him to continue doing what he does because you are, and I know he don't like to hear all that, but
I received that.
But he is very talented, and I want him to continue doing what he's intended to do because it will impact the world, around you. So. I know Kevin is very private, so I'm not. Chris was very willing to share his Instagram and all that stuff. We're gonna let Kev be Kev and do his thing, but I will let you know my YouTube or my Instagram is Deluxe Dave, DeluxeDave. If you are following me on TikTok, I'm David J, DavidJ Coleman Coleman. I hope you enjoyed this episode of revisiting the industry and industry baby or nah. Go back and listen to some of my old episodes. Tell people about this show. And if you like these guests on here, let me know also. Once again, you are unique, you are loved, and you are created for greatness. Till next time, holla.
Peace.